Hello everybody, I'm Aaron Draper and I'm the a photography professor and Photoshop professor, and normally I do my white product shots or any kind of product shots at all where I'm looking to have a seamless background or white seamless or what's called infinity background, or a lot of times they'll use a cove, it's called. And a lot of times I'll do those in the studio. Unfortunately right now there's some circumstances where I can't use the studio, and so I've had to actually go and find a way to do it myself. So you guys, since I had to do it myself, you guys are gonna have to do it yourself also. And the way I did it, I'm gonna show you guys a little bit of a step-by-step process. I'm not gonna get too much into it, but I'm gonna show you a little bit about how I created this. Here's my camera, it's all set up with my tripod. My object is a baseball inside, but here basically is my ugly contraption. And honestly, I'm not very proud of it, a little bit low-key embarrassed that I'm shooting on something like this, but thank goodness the properties of light and how light work are the same whether you're in a studio or whether you are using a dollar piece of foam core and baking parchment paper with staples and duct tape. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna put our adult pants on and we're gonna recreate our own so we can use it inside when we can't access a studio to do product shots for this kind of work. Because this is the window that you're gonna put some light by to soften and diffuse the light. So it's all soft and the whole box is filled with white light. Okay, and it's all soft and forgiving and beautiful. So what you do is you're gonna take one of your pieces, one of your panels, and make sure I drew a line and drew an outline of the paper I was gonna put over there. And you're going to cut a piece out, and then you're gonna staple or tape, however you wanna do it, your piece of parchment paper or baking paper or wax paper, whatever you've used. Even t-shirt material works, just something that's sort of white and translucent. That paper that'll, when you put light by it, it'll be diffused, okay? And then another important part, you guys, is the back, sort of the back panel. And what I did to that, because if you look inside, what you want is a swoop, right? So there's my swoop. And what I did is I took a piece of paper and I attached it at the top up there, up above, back on there, and stapled it to it, right? So I stapled the paper inside here before I taped it on. I stapled that to it. That way when I put this on and taped it up, I could pull the paper down and I could cover that back crack. That sounded bad, but okay. Look, I'll show you. See the back crack back there? That back crack we do not want, okay? We don't want any cracks or any dark spots at all, because that takes away from that seamless sort of feel and that infinity feel, right? So I did not tape or duct tape. I stapled that up on the top above on to that piece back there, my back piece. And so now when I put it down, I can put it down in here like this. I can have my swoop, right? And then what I did, because I don't like that, I taped this down, right? But I couldn't get that line away anyway still. So I just took another piece of foam core and I dropped it in there like that. And so now when you shoot an object really low like this, you'll have that really nice transition of white, right? White, correct? All right. So then you put your object in there, right? And I've got this ball. Let's see. Okay. You put your object in there. You've got your subject. This is about camera level right here. If you want, you move. I'm going to push this back against the wall. If you want, you move this out a little bit and you can shoot down on it like that. Right? So then you have complete isolation of it. So let's light this up and see what it looks like. Okay? I've got a couple lights. You can use, my lights I think are 25 watts each. You can use whatever light you want. These are called, let's see, Emert or Emart. And again, they're 15 watt lights, right? So if you used a light bulb, okay, if you used a light bulb that's 60 watts, it's already brighter than mine. These are mostly for video, but I like them for doing this, because I think they work pretty well. So now I come over and I look at my ball, and what do I have? Well, I've got a highlight and a shadow, right? And basically, what we want when we're looking for any of this kind of work is we want a big soft light source, like this light over here, right? That's coming through from my lights. It's soft and diffused. And then we want an object, and we want a highlight, and we want a shadow side, right? So this is working out really well for that. Now, if I move the lights closer, you'll see that highlight right here gets brighter, okay? And if I move it back, it gets softer. So depending on how you want the light, I usually want my light a little softer, so I'm gonna move both of my lights back, like that. But basically, this is the setup. And all we're gonna do is make sure that we shoot this object with a real soft light with a background that basically recedes into infinity, into nothing. Okay, and the more we up our brightness, right, we can blow that background out and overexpose it, and then use this for all kinds of work. We can cut it out and use it. We can do all kinds of stuff with it, you know, and use it for whatever kind of work we want. But it's a very soft, very forgiving light to work with, right? We can either shoot low like this and get down with it, or we can shoot on top and isolate it against the white background. And you can see the beautiful texture of the light, the beautiful texture of the object, right? That's like super good looking right now. These right here are some of the materials I used when I was designing my my do-it-myself indoor white product photography box here. I've got a ruler because I needed to measure and cut out my square, my little light square over here and I need a straight line to cut it. I've got a little utility knife that I use to cut the white foam core. I've got some scissors I used to cut my back paper back in there. I've got some tape that I tried to use. Tape actually didn't work very well. Duct tape was the real winner here. That was awesome. And staples. So these two things were great. I used the pencil to make an outline of my for my little box, and the outline for what I was going to cut out. Basically, you're not going to cut out anything except for this little white panel over here that you're going to put some parchment paper over, or some any kind of like diffusion material. That's what I use that for. Okay. So basically, I mean, I think you can get away with staples, some duct tape, and a pair of scissors, honestly. Okay. And that's that. So here we have the baseball that I was photographing, and you guys saw in my little do-it-yourself soft box, or little product photography box I made. Here's the baseball I was photographing, and you can see it's got this beautiful texture, and we'll check it out. See, it's got some beautiful texture up in here. It's an old worn baseball. It's got a contact shadow right here, and then it's got this nice soft shadow off to the left. It's got a highlight right here. It makes it look really 3D, and it's also super clean, right? It's a very clean shot. There's one problem with it, you guys, and we'll go into just quickly. We can go back into the camera raw filter real quick, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Problem is, it's not completely white. And if you look over here in the RGB, the red, green, and blue values, you'll see that 255 all across each of the three channels. 255 is pure white, 0 is black, and where there's any tone at all, any tonality in the shot or in the image, it'll be less than 255. So if we come up in here, we're getting 254, 255 this is pure white right there. Come down here, that's 252. Again, you're looking up in here, you guys, in the red, green, and blue values, right? 252 down here, it's getting to 230, right? So this is a little darker, and it's not pure white. And up in here, this is pure white. It looks like all along this right side where the light was, it's pure white. Over here, it's a little well, it's not exactly pure white. And down here, it's even worse. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a gradient we're gonna curve this out and make this brighter with curves, and then we're create a gradient so it just fades up, okay? Because we want this to be pure white. So let's just cancel that, and here's our ball again. And all we're gonna do is make a curve layer. So go down here to our layers and adjustments, our adjustment layers, go to curves. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna push this curve up until it gets super bright, until we're down here and we can see that this is pretty much pure white everywhere, right? And you can't really go too wrong with it. So let's just go like that and make sure that's pure white. Let's just kill that. And then we're gonna fill this with black, right? Because we don't want it to apply to the whole thing. It's blowing the ball out, right? The ball is completely overexposed. So if we come back here and set this to black, we're gonna hit Option Delete and fill that mask with black and hide that adjustment, right? And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna run a gradient from the bottom up and stop right about here, okay? So we're gonna go to our gradient tool right here. We're gonna, because it's a mask, and pretend the gradient tool is like the paintbrush, that anytime you use the paintbrush on a mask, if you're painting white right now, you're bringing it in, the underlying layer, the curves adjustment. If you're painting black, you're covering it back up, so you're hiding it, right? Well, the gradient tool works the exact same way, meaning it refers to black paint and white paint the exact same way, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna click up here and make sure we're on, let's see, foreground to transparent. And what's foreground? Foreground's black, okay? So do we want black on a black mask? We don't. We actually want white, right? Because white will remove this black. So we're gonna click this to white and make sure it's foreground to transparent. Yes, because this is the foreground color now, white, and we want it to go to transparent. So if we take this and hold left click down and slide up, you see it just got brighter, right? I'm getting it way brighter down here, and I don't want to get it so bright that I remove the shadow, right? So let's bring it up here and do that. Now watch. See, taking this on and off, now you'll see this, all this down here got super white. Okay, but I lost my shadow and a little bit of the shadow this side. So what I'm gonna end up doing is I'm gonna paint that back in. Okay, so I'm gonna revert back to the black over here. I'm gonna take it off my gradient. I'm gonna put on a brush. And gradient and a brush tool are super similar, right? So all I gotta do now is paint this back in. At 100%, I'm gonna paint it back in. I'm gonna paint the shadow back in I lost, right? This is what I really want, is that. I don't want this down here. I just want this section painted back in. So there we go. I got my 3D baseball, I got my little shadow, and I can use this and highlight this and drop this into a poster, a white poster, or I can highlight it, easily select it out. Let's flatten that. I can easily make a selection of this, even with a magic wand tool or any kind of loose, easy selection. I'll bring the shadow with me, or I'll just highlight the whole ball and bring it with me and make my own shadow. Yeah, and you can use this for whatever you like, but it's super clean. So yeah, that was what how I'd set my this is how I'd set my studio or my home up if I wanted to shoot something really super simple and easy, you guys, for a product shot, and I didn't have a whole lot of means to do it myself. I didn't have studio lights. All I had was a small light source, and I turned that into a harsh light source with some soft diffusion and made it a really beautiful shot that I could work with and lay out and do design with. So if you like this video, you guys, make sure you subscribe, leave a comment if you have any questions about it, and we'll see you next time.